everyone, and thank you so much for listening to this recording. This recording is specifically for BMNG 6221, and we are going to be focusing on part 2 of the POE. So at this stage, all the part 1s have been submitted, they've been marked, you have all got your feedback from part 1. Use that feedback when you go and submit part 2. So it's important to remember that part 2 is obviously a continuation from part 1. The idea that you have used in part 1 is going to be continued into part 2. In fact, you are going to elaborate on part 1 and you're going to add resources and information into this idea that you have already created in part 1. Remember that the assignment is due on the 23rd of April. So you have got just more than 3 weeks to complete it. I know that most students have already started to work on part 2, and obviously it is also worth 50 marks. So that's just the basic information before we get started. You will see part 2 is divided up into smaller questions. There are 7 smaller questions. Each one is about 5 or 10 marks worth. And obviously you are only going to submit part 2 on its own. So you don't have to resubmit part 1 or attach part 1 with part 2. When you submit on ARC, you are only going to submit part 2. Please remember, ladies and gents, we had a few students who did not reference correctly in part 1. Please make sure that you are referencing correctly and that you are referencing all the theory that you have based your findings on. Okay. So let's jump right into the actual questions that we are going to be focusing on. We have now got these ideas. There were some really good ideas that came through, and the next step for us is now to evaluate these ideas and for us to decide whether they are actually going to be a viable or a feasible opportunity. So we don't just jump right head in. We need to check that this idea that we have, we need to analyze it, we're going to evaluate it, and then at the end we should have a concrete decision to see whether this idea that we have is actually going to make us any money. And that is what part 2 is about. Then we're going to look at these opportunities and we are going to ask ourselves, are they desirable? Are they feasible? Do we have the motivation and the resources available to pursue these ideas and these opportunities that we would have? Okay. So just to remind you once again, it is a continuation from task 1. Unless your online tutor has told you to change your idea, please don't go and change your idea. Continue to use the same idea that you have already used. So the questions that we are going to be looking at, the first one asks us, when evaluating the business opportunities, the entrepreneurs need to use specific criteria, and we need to focus on those criteria, and then we're going to analyze our ideas in terms of those criteria that you would see. So you'll see on page 71, they give you a very nice diagram, and you can use this as a starting point for your answer. Okay, so this is good information. You are able to use this diagram and the information that follows on page 71. What do we need to focus on? You are going to look at the 4 criteria, and we are going to evaluate your business idea against these 4 criteria. Let's say, for example, the first criteria, potential growth within the market. Does your idea, does your business idea, does your opportunity allow for growth in the market? Is it an idea that has growth? Is there room for it to grow and develop within the market? So you need to, first of all, as always, explain what the criteria is. So give a brief definition of what the criteria is. But very importantly, guys and girls, you have to evaluate it against your idea. So we found a lot of the time in part 1, the application really lacked. So please go and take the criteria, but then evaluate it into your opportunity as well. Okay. For example, is there market acceptance for the idea? You need to go and have an answer that would say, yes, my idea is most likely to be accepted into the market because X, Y, and Z. Okay, so you have to go and put in that application. If there's not sufficient application, then the maximum marks that you can get for this question would be 4 out of 8. So please go and apply it and evaluate it to your business idea. Okay, then we move on again. We are going to look at analyzing any 4 categories that will assist you to test your business marketability and analyze the 3 questions that you are going to be asking about the viability. Okay? So let's break it up into more detail. Okay, so here they are asking us, is your business a viable business? And the word viability means, is it feasible? Is it going to be able to make money for you? Because that's why you would start a business in the first place. Okay, so you are going to look at assessing or analyzing the viability of your business. And in order to do that, you are going to look at the 4 categories that are going to help you determine whether your business is going to be viable or not. Okay? So we look at the economic value of the business. We look at the innovativeness or how new the product is, how exciting the product is, and we look at the desirability of the product. And then on page 75, they give you the 4 main categories that we need to be analyzing in terms of the viability of the business. We look at the customers, we look at the competitors, we look at the suppliers, and we look at how we can market the product. Okay, and you'll see under each one of those categories there's a list of about 7 to 8 different questions, and you need to go and pick questions that is applicable to your business. Okay, so you can use any 3 of those questions under the categories of customers, competitors, suppliers, and marketing of the product that you can then go and focus on how feasible your product is going to be. Okay, so you'll see under customers there's questions, under competitors, under suppliers, and under marketing, and you are going to analyze and apply. Guys, application, once again, I've said it, the application is very, very important. You need to go and apply your work. Okay, so that's for the first 16 marks of your part 2. Let's move on to part 3. I always tell the students that this is one of the easiest questions that they would do. Identify and evaluate 5 business resources that you will need for your business to start operating. Okay, so if you wanted to start your business, what resources would you need? And there's so many different resources that you would need, and you'll see that they give you a starting point, a list on page 141 in your textbook. They list some of the resources that you would need. Okay, I think it's 145. Just give me a second just to open it up there so you can see. So you'll see one of the most common resources that we'll need and that most of you will need would obviously be finances. So what financial resources do you need? What human resources do you need? Do you need any technical resources, personal support resources, educational resources, physical resources? What resources is it that you would need in order for your business to grow and to be, to actually be viable, to be feasible? So guys, our page numbers there, I know it's quite small here, is 148, where they start looking at the identifying the resource needs for the business. And then it goes up until page 154, where they speak about the last resources. You'll see they divide them into different categories. Obviously, under each category, let's speak, for example, about financial resources. Under financial resources, they speak about getting money from the government or taking a loan or crowdfunding or getting money from family or friends or venture capital funding. Remember, you don't have to go into detail about each one of those. You need to pick one that would be applicable to your business. So you don't have to explain all the information. Remember, here we want to see the application. So we don't want you to just define all the different ways that you can acquire financial resources. We want to see that you have picked one that is applicable to your business and you have focused on that one. Okay. So you have to be applying the resource needs. So finances, like I said, physical resources, what particular physical resources would your business need? Do you need human resources at this stage? Do you need technical or educational resources so that you know what it is that you need to be doing? And obviously, there you are going to apply them. So you're going to name and define and practically apply to your business. Okay. Then for question 4 for 8 marks, here's also not a difficult question that we're going to look at. We are going to be looking at the strategic management phases. So you'll remember from business 1A and 1B, so your last year business module, that you learned about these phases in detail. And for second year business, we go into a little bit more detail about these 4 strategic phases, okay? And you need to apply each one of these phases to your business startup. So the starting point for you guys to go and get some information, I always tell the students, start with your textbook, okay? So from page 90 all the way up until page 110, they give you the steps in the strategic management process, and you'll see there's a lovely diagram on page 91, figure 4.1, where they summarize everything for you in neat little columns. So if you want to just an overview of what the management process is, go to that diagram, go to figure 4.1, and you will be able to see it listed there. They give you what is pertaining to each one of those steps in the management process. But what you need to do, obviously there are 4 steps in the management process, all the way from strategy formulation, evaluation, implementation, and then obviously controlling it and gaining competitive advantage through your strategies. So you're going to, step 1, define each one of those phases. So define strategy formulation, define evaluation, implementation, etc. A good solid definition. Use some extra resources here. Use some other sources that you can find to define it. Okay. And then very, very important for the second half of your questions, apply each one of those steps to your business idea. So how is your business going to formulate its mission statement? How is your business going to analyze the internal and the external environment? How is your business going to measure performance within the business? And how is your business going to ensure that they are gaining competitive advantage? Are they going to follow a differentiation strategy? Are they going to follow a cost leadership strategy? So remember, it is only 8 marks, so we don't need an essay for each one of these management phases, but we do need a good definition of each of the steps, and we need a good application point of each of these steps as well. Okay. So that's question 3 and question 4. Let's move on to the next one, which is question 5, 6, and 7. There we go. They should be on your screen now. So question 5 is now asking us about the business location factors. Where will you locate your business? How are you going to decide where you're actually going to set up the business? So they're asking, what is going to determine where you're going to choose to locate your business? Obviously, this plays a very, very important role in a business. And for each one of these ideas, the location is going to be different. And the reasons why we choose those locations will also differ from scenario to scenario. Okay, so your job is to choose the most suitable location for your business. Okay, so in doing that, you are going to choose any 5 of the location factors that we are going to make our decision on, whether that is being nearby a harbor or having other infrastructure around. Do we need to be nearby our human resources, so our laborers? If we need to get a lot of laborers to work for us, we're not going to go and put our business too far away from the laborers. Do we need capital that is available for us? Do we need specific transport facilities? Do we need to have a big property where we need to be nearby the raw materials? What are your geographic preferences as the entrepreneur? So you can choose any of the 5 factors and apply them to your business. So again, list the factor, explain the factor, and apply it to your business. Okay. Now at this point, a lot of the business ideas that we had were online ideas. So we had lots of sort of mobile applications that were being developed and things like that. So in that case, you don't have a physical store that you would need to do. But for this question, you need to then think of an hypothetical store that you would have. Okay. So whether it is a warehouse or a shop, something needs, because otherwise you can't just say my idea is a mobile application, therefore I don't need to be located anywhere. You need to then think of a hypothetical scenario so that you can at least apply the factors hypothetically to your business idea. Okay. So please don't just write here for the 10 marks, I don't need a shop for us. So, you still need to go and apply the factors. That's what we want to see in the answer. We want to see that you are able to identify and elaborate on and understand the factors that influence our choice of location. Okay. Then for question 6, define and discuss the type of business ownership that your business will enter. Again, I want to say don't overcomplicate this question. You all know the different forms of ownerships because again we have learned them in first year business. We know we get a sole trader, we get partnerships, we get companies, for-profit companies, not-for-profit companies. We get cooperatives, we get different types of forms of ownerships. Which one is going to be best suited to your business and why? So if you are choosing a sole trader, we need to know why you're choosing a sole trader. Why does that form of ownership, what are the advantages of that form of ownerships in relation to your business idea? So I am choosing to be a sole proprietor because it's my business idea and I don't want to share it. I want to take all the profits and I want to be able to make all the decisions, and I'm willing to take the risk that if anything had to go wrong with the business, that I would be legally responsible for that. So you need to elaborate on it. I am choosing to start up a public company because my business requires a big capital outlay, so I would need to sell shares in order to generate the initial capital. So those are the type of ideas or reasons that we are looking for when you choose which form of ownership is going to be best suited for your business. And then the very, very last question that you can see here speaks about business failure and how common business failure is within the organization. A lot of entrepreneurs grow too big too soon and then they don't plan for the future. So that's obviously one of the traps that we are going to be aware of for this. But the question is saying, discuss any 5 sources of support that are at your disposal as an entrepreneur to avoid failure. Okay. So what are some of the support structures in place that you know of that can assist young entrepreneurs within South Africa or within the realm of the idea that they are doing? Okay, so you can see I haven't given you any page numbers for here because they mention it very, very briefly in chapter 1, but you need to go and think about any sources of support. What would make an entrepreneur stay in the business and be successful in the business in terms of support that that is available to them, and how they can overcome any of the difficulties that they would be able to, or that they would be exposed to or facing. So we're looking for 5 sources, 5 ways in which entrepreneurs are supported within the country. So you need to go look. You'll see in chapter 1, they speak about entrepreneurship in South Africa. They speak about the process. They speak about some of the recent developments within the business sector, and you can go and apply those sources of support to your business as well. I think that covers everything, ladies and gents. Please, if you have a question, let either myself or Peter Fourie know. You can send us an email if something is unclear. Good luck for the task. Remember to be creative. Remember that we are looking for the outside the box thinkers. Offer something unique, try and think of something different, and yeah, the marks have been good so far, so let's try and maintain those high marks. And don't forget to reference. Remember, if you have used AI, you need to declare it. You can only use AI in an ethical source, in an ethical way. So please remember, you need to declare it. It has to go through Turnitin on ARC, and remember to edit properly. Okay, please guys, go and check in your part ones. There were some students who did not edit properly. I would have made comments there to say please use Arial size 12. A lot of the work was centered. Please don't center your work. Justify your margins so that they're both the same on the left and the right, and just make sure that you have a cover page and that your work is neat and that you have gone through, you've checked spelling, you've checked grammar, etc., etc. That's all from my side, everybody. I hope that you found the recording helpful. Please let us know if you have any questions. Bye.